All right, welcome to Beginner Cross Stitch. I'm Liz, and I've been cross stitching since I was about 12 years old. So I'm going to teach you the basics today. So what you're going to need, you're going to need a needle. You're going to need Aida cloth. So this is 14 count. It's basically just means the size of these tiny little squares that you're going to be stitching in. You're going to need embroidery floss that looks like this. I usually use DMC floss. You find the number right there. If you are doing a particular pattern, a lot of times it will come in a kit. So you would get the floss, the Aida cloth, the pattern, and really just the needle, and then all that you need. And then I would choose a small pair of scissors. Doesn't really matter what, it could be this big, little, and then I think that's it. Some people use an embroidery hoop. I do not have an embroidery hoop because I don't use them anymore. However, they look like a little circle. You can get them tiny, you can get them big, and it's just kind of a little wood piece around it, and it helps spread the fabric such that when you're stitching, you know, it's taut, if that makes sense. All right, so a lot of times, if you get a kit, which I highly recommend getting a beginner's kit first. That's just my opinion. This is not a beginner's kit, but I am showing you what you might see. So there are little symbols, and they match the number, the floss number. So for instance, let's see, where did I just put it? I'm not currently using this floss at the moment, but this is number 554. Again, you're going to find it right there. So if I was like, well, where in the pattern would I find that? I'm going to find that right here, and it's that little tiny C shape. And I go on to my design here, or my template, and I see where the C's are. And that's where I'm going to put that floss. All right, so on this particular template, I always like to, you'll see tiny arrows. A lot of times they'll have tiny arrows in the middle, not always, of the pattern at the top and right here at the side. And you're going to follow that as well as the top down to find approximately where the middle of your design will be. I usually like to mark that so that I know where to begin. All right. Now this particular design has that, and then it has the bigger version because, let's be honest, the smaller version is a little tough on the eyes. Currently, I am working on this design. I have started with the letters of my daughter's name. Now, let me go ahead and go back, and I'm going to actually stop this so that you can see how I thread my floss. So I'm going to pull this a couple times. This is not it. I am just going to start from the beginning, as that's what we are doing right now. All right. So the floss, you can either take it out as is and, you know, literally unwind it and just use it as you would like, as it comes, or you can put it on something called a bobbin. They're these tiny little plastic things, and I usually buy or write, whatever you prefer, the little stickers or numbers at the top here to coordinate, so I remember, okay, this is this particular floss. And I wrap it around and tie it off. So you can store them that way if that's easy for you, or however you would like. Some people choose to do it like this in little baggies. I have two in here. I don't know why. and write the number on. All right. So here I'm going to cut off. I'm going to cut off this amount of floss. It doesn't really matter, whatever you want to start with. Now, the floss has actually 6 strands in one floss. So you're going to start by taking one of those strands and just gently pulling so it doesn't get knotted up, and put the other 5 strands to the side. Now what you're going to do is take one end and the other end, put them together into one hand. I usually wet it with my mouth. And after I've done that, there's a tiny hole in this needle. I kind of press it up against my finger so that it's nice and flat. And then I'm going to feed the floss through the needle. Sometimes I get it right away. Other times I don't. Let's see. There we are. I'm going to pull it on through. Just a little bit, not all the way. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to, let's see. Okay. So hopefully you can see here, but I am basically starting, say I'm starting at the bottom left. It doesn't really matter, I don't think personally, where you start. And you go up through, so bottom left to the top right, because you're going to want to be making little X's, little tiny X's. And for this one, because it's the first stitch, I'm going to pull through and feed it through this little tiny loop in the back, and then pull gently. And that's going to just seal that off so that your thread stays on the canvas, on the cloth. Then you're going to go bottom right of the same square of the cloth, up through and down the top left to complete the stitch. And that's it. I will be back for more beginner cross stitch. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer. Bye.